listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest, Chief Randy Bruegman, Anaheim Fire and Rescue. Welcome.
Hi, Ron. How are you this morning?
Wonderful. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
Let me remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. It is another beautiful day here in Taxifornia. What are we celebrating today? I guess I better make sure I got the right day. My screen just went blank on me. What do you know about that one? I always love it when the screen blanks out, and we are paperless on Ron Siegel Radio, so we try and do this. Save a little bit of trees there. National New Hampshire Day. Yeah, there's no excitement on that one. National Grateful Patient Day. I guess if you've been feeling poorly, you'll be a grateful patient. Beer Lovers Day. Okay. National Snow Nor Rain Day. Where do they come up with these things? Acorn Squash Day. Food Bank Day. Yeah, you love that one. I'm not going to even say well, I'll say it because it'll get me in trouble. I love that. National Lazy Moms Day. Now, thank goodness my wife is not listening, because otherwise I'd be in serious trouble. Let's stick, being that I have beaten anorexia, we'll go with National Salami Day. I can deal with that today. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Let's check out, see what the markets are doing for you. It's been a rocky road on the market. No, I'm not talking about the food rocky road. It's been a rocky road on the markets this morning. Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 48 points. Oil down 29 cents per gallon. U.S. 10-year Treasury, that is up 6 basis points to 294. Why is that happening? Well, it's all about the news this morning. We did get the big jobs report. Whenever we get that jobs report, you have to look at that. You look at it and say, okay, what does the jobs report mean? And I'm going to share with you. Normally I save this for the second segment, but I'm going to get into it this morning right now, just because you're probably more excited to hear this than you are to hear some of my other political rants. So I'm going to give that to you. Hugh, that's just for you if you're listening this morning, so I will get into that. But we've got a jobs report that may be a little bit misleading, because we got a good number. We saw that the number comes out telling us that we created quite a few new jobs, but as happens in U.S. government, one agency tells us one thing, another agency tells us another thing, and you and I try and figure out what the heck is going on.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
So, unemployment rate remained stable at 3.9%. We showed on the BLS jobs report a gain of 201,000 jobs. They expected a gain of 195,000 jobs. You'd think that sounds good. However, the net negative revisions to the previous 2 months, June was revised lower by 40,000 jobs from 248 to 208. July was revised lower by 10,000 jobs, 157 to 147. Downward revision of 50,000. So you might say, Ron, where does the confusion come in? Well, we also have another survey by another government institution, the Household Survey. That showed that there were actually 423,000 jobs lost.
Ow!
Yeah, so at the same time, one government agency says we're gaining jobs, another government agency says we're losing jobs, and you and I get to say, what the heck is going on? Well, that's why we see that the the unemployment rate did not change, so it's still at 3.9%. The only number that really matters, and if you go and talk to any of the economists, they use the BLS U3 number. That's the number that gives us that 3.9%. The number that's meaningful is the BLS U6 number. That tells us about unemployed and underemployed, the people that want to work, but they just can't find a job. Well, that's the real number. That's decreased from 7.5% to 7.4%. We are seeing people leaving the workforce. We are seeing people aging, and surprise, surprise, the young people apparently, many of them say, hey, you know something, if we can go to Bernie land, we can get everything for free. Maybe we can go to Gavin land next year and get everything in California for free. And you wonder why get a job. Okay, that we understand that part right there. Average hourly earnings, that shows wage-pressured inflation increased by 0.4% in August. This brought the year-over-year level up 2.9%. Now, think about this one. A lot of people are watching hourly earnings. Now, does hourly earnings mean anything to anybody? Think about that, because if you're only working, according to the BLS, how do they figure out new jobs? Well, new jobs is defined as 1 hour of work for pay in the prior month. I don't know about you, but I can't live off of 1 hour of work for pay. It takes just a couple more hours for me to live. You know, I think I like that salami, you know, and the martinis and all that kind of good stuff. So the number that you really want to look at is, what is the weekly number? What are those weekly hourly earnings doing? And that's up 3.2% year over year, because more people are concerned with, you know, how much you're making every week instead of every hour. If you only work 1 hour this week, you're not going to live very well. Just a thought for you. So that number is up, again, 3.2% year over year. That's a good number. So why are the markets doing what they're doing? Why are the bonds doing what they're doing? Now, I told you yesterday, ahead of this jobs report, that you better go out if you're looking at getting a new home. Get that interest rate locked in. I told you that yesterday. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. And what is happening today? Well, the Fannie Mae 30-year bond down 23 basis points. I will say it again. Painful. When the bond goes down, interest rates are up. So we've seen a big jump, and 23 basis points on that bond in a day. That is a very, very large move. And it would not surprise me to see that go down, to about 101.51. We're at 101.53 now, so there's a little bit of support there, just another couple basis points down. So we're going to watch that one for you. That's the why, right? Everybody can tell you what's happening. It's easy to say that the 10-year Treasury is up 5 basis points, the yield. Anybody can do that. You don't need to be a rocket scientist for that, although I'm not a rocket scientist. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to see what the Fannie Mae 30-year bond is doing. You don't even have to be very smart to know how to go to google.com, although we're not smart would be something that we've been watching. If you've been watching the Kavanaugh hearings, that would define not smart. Talk about some of these senators there. I mean, it's just amazing. And our junior senator from the state of confusion proved how ignorant you can be and still be a senator. Maybe I should just say stupid, because I mean, it's unbelievable. Her commentary, her grandstanding yesterday, and obviously the junior senator who sits right next to her from New Jersey. Talk about getting on air and lying to the American people flat out. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to use the word that a senator is lying, but he gets up there and grandstands telling us that, well, he could lose his seat in the Senate for giving out the information he's about to give out, which was made public 3 hours or 4 hours before he gave it out, and he knew it. So it's just a definition of lying to the American people. Unbelievable. Why do they keep doing this? Are they not smart enough to realize that we can all watch the videotape, that there is a news cycle, that they're not going to get away with the commentary? Now, Kamala Harris, think about this one. She is quizzing a candidate or the nominee for the United States Supreme Court. And she says, have you ever talked to anybody at XYZ law firm? I don't remember the name of the firm. He says, well, I don't remember all the people that work there. She says, I didn't ask you that. Have you talked to anybody there? Well, if you don't remember everybody that works there, how could you know if you ever talked to anybody there? Am I missing something here, Miss Harris? I just don't get it. And then you watch the Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut say, I'm going to ask you this question again, and changes the question. Candidate says, well, you just changed the question, Senator. So he says, well, let me ask it to you again. Asks it again, gives him a third version of it. And the nominee says, well, you just changed it for the third time. Which question do you want me to answer? And then they don't give him a chance to answer. Amazing watching this stuff going on in Washington, and we're supposed to, I just watch it. Why do I watch it? I watch it to learn. I think, something, you got somebody that's going to be a United States Supreme Court justice, probably be there for the next 30 years. Doesn't it make sense to try and listen to what he has to say and learn instead of the grandstanding of United States senators? Unbelievable. He has a lot more poise than I would. I look at some of these things that goes on in politics, and I couldn't imagine him. If it was me, I would just have said, why are you asking me this question, Senator Harris? You've already made up your mind as to how you're voting. So what's the purpose of our conversation? But I guess he can't get away with that. He's got to be a little more politically correct. Just saying. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, home prices, they are up. How much do Americans actually know about credit scoring? And amazing, it's September 11th coming up. We're going to talk to the chief about that one. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investment?
Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter,
Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off of your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel, knowing that if a bank or a credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and nearly 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO-certified credit professional and has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 855-608-1990. Again, that's 855-608-1990. Or visit creditsanitizer.com. Again, that website is creditsanitizer.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission, lending partners will give a credit at closing, the title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. When you're ready for that next mortgage, Gold Star has the programs for you. They've even got the Fast Pass loan approval, the only one I know of with the Fast Pass loan approval. Yes, that can help you save $10,000 to $50,000 on the purchase of your new home. Get a hold of our friends over at Gold Star Mortgage. So what is happening in the mortgage market? Well, I shared that with you a bit earlier today. How do you use it? Well, the big issue to using it is knowing when to lock, when not to lock. Right now, I'm going to tell you right now, the markets always overreact. So when you've got good news in the market and the market takes a big jump up, better be careful. Don't jump on the bandwagon. It overreacts. When the market goes down, it always overreacts to the downside. So the idea here is when you see a day like this and the bonds are down 23 basis points, which means interest rates are up, I'm going to suggest to you that you missed the boat. You may not want to be locking in today. Maybe wait until Tuesday or Wednesday of next week and see what happens. See how things level out in the markets. That is the Mortgage Minute. That brought to you by our friends over at Gold Star Mortgage. So the man of the day, here chatting with Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman's in the house. Welcome.
Hi, Ron. How are you?
Wonderful. Glad to have you with us.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be back.
So, amazing. What was it, 18 years we're almost at? 17 years?
17 years.
September 11th, 2001.
Yep.
Amazing. So, it's one of those things now. I'm young enough that, I don't get to say this very often, I'm young enough that you always heard people say that, everybody remembers where they were when President Kennedy was shot, right? And I was only about a couple months old, so I don't really remember where I was. I was probably somewhere, I was with my mom, I guess. But I think September 11th is that same scenario for people that were too young then. Everyone knows where they were. Everyone has a story, right? I mean, it's... the world changed.
It did, and I can remember both events because I was in grade school when Kennedy was shot. So that day is as vivid to me today as it was then, as 9/11 is. And I think that when we look back on that day and we look at what has transpired in our country and all the changes that we have seen as a result of what occurred on that day, it's pretty phenomenal if you look back and just where we're at today.
It'll be interesting to see, and I don't know that our kids and certainly our grandkids will never know the differences, right, of being able to just walk up or meet somebody at the gate of an airline, right? How those things have changed. Or going to a ball game and having 30 turnstiles and you just walk right in, right? Those are all things that we don't even, our kids don't even think about that for sure.
It was very interesting at the 15th anniversary, which we held at the Grove. We had the choir come in from one of the local universities to sing, and most of those kids were too young to remember. And so we actually had time before the ceremony to actually sit down with them and to talk about what their perspectives were. And it was very interesting. And just like you say, they don't have the same perspective that we do. They know it was a tragic event, but they don't have that same visceral feeling that I think many of us lived through that day and still hold to, we still carry that with us.
And I find it fascinating because, I was sharing with you before we went on air that I was in New Jersey, Merrill Lynch's campus at the time. And the feeling that I got when being there versus the feeling that I got when I came home. It's a much more, you're much more sensitive when you're 20 miles away than 2,000 miles away. You probably experience that to a different degree when you're dealing with natural disasters that you've been involved with as fire chief.
Oh, absolutely. It's totally true.
Interesting. The thing that I worry about, though, is, as our population ages, and, now we're 17 years out, there's based biblically, that's what, two generations away. And I'm not getting religious at all. I'm just saying that time has passed. Do we get ourselves in a problem of getting, as we get further and further away, of dropping our guard a little bit?
Yeah, I think that can happen, but unfortunately, especially, throughout the world, we've had other tragic events that continue to remind us that it's, the terrorism and some of the other factions that are going on worldwide are alive and well. And so I think that even though we lived through that seminal event, and the younger generation maybe did not, they're experiencing their own right now. And unfortunately, I think that's probably going to continue.
So from a local standpoint, what do our police and fire departments do now? How has that changed some of your readiness and your training and things that you're doing on a regular basis since that days in 2001?
Well, in 2001, we were just beginning to address the Homeland Security issue, at least on the fire side. I think police were a little bit more attuned to that. But since that day, I think it's become really part of our mission. And so we approach the Homeland Security preparation totally different than we did 17 years ago. It's part of our DNA now. And so when we have events here in the city, we execute much differently than we did then. We would just know that they were coming. Today we're planning for the number of participants, the type of event that's coming in. We're strategizing on the type of deployment that will be needed. We're doing pre-plans for all of our large events now. And 17 years ago, we weren't doing that. I mean, we were probably more concerned about traffic.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, and now we're still concerned about traffic, but now we're concerned on a whole nother level of just about safety of the people that are participating, but how we're going to react if an event does occur and things like that. So
you have to be really creative because the bad guys keep getting more and more creative.
They do.
So getting prepared, and you start looking and saying, okay, we've got a Super Bowl coming in a few years. Right, we've got the Olympics coming 10 years out. How far out do you have to start planning for some of those major events like that?
Well, I think we're very fortunate here in Orange County. We have an Orange County Intelligence Center, which is one of the national fusion centers, which is made up of local law enforcement and fire agencies support that. And so they are gathering intelligence from not only a local, regional, state level, but they're also plugged into what's happening nationally. So when events come, big events, so for example, when we hosted the All-Star game here, or if we have a major league playoff where we're into the final rounds, they actually help to support that with intelligence that they're gathering not only here but from a national perspective, and then we feed that into what we do here.
Interesting. So every time one of our teams does well, it means more work for you guys.
Yes, and we appreciate that.
It's kind of fascinating when you watch, because there's a lot of things that go on that I think the average individual that just expects, I call 911 and somebody shows up. There's a lot more that goes into that.
There is. I mean, our day-to-day response system. What we notice, of course, every day is the police officers and firefighters that are out and about in the community, whether they're responding or just driving by. But there's a whole infrastructure that actually gets them started, and that's our dispatch centers and a whole 911 infrastructure system to allow us to today call from a cell phone and actually pings in the dispatch center where the tower hits, and actually with it gives a lat and long of where you're actually at that the dispatcher can take and drop in and tell you exactly within 25 meters where you're at.
Holy cow.
So it's
Big Brother's watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how far technology has come, but it just goes to show just how robust the entire system has to be to pull off being an effective emergency response agency.
And we've got that all the time in the city of Anaheim, because we've got a fantastic convention center that's pretty busy, and obviously we've got an amusement park that's pretty busy. So I guess we're a high-profile area.
High-profile area, and as the convention center continues to grow and bring in more folks, and Disneyland continues to expand, and our professional teams continue to do well. I think last year we had over 25 million visitors come to the city, and that's 300,000 people a day, and some days I think we double our population based upon the events that are occurring. So it does, I think, tax the system a little bit, but working with our partners, our professional sports teams, the convention center, and Disney, we work very, very closely with their staffs and have a good working relationship, and that's very, very important as well.
Fascinating numbers. I want to talk to you when we come back about that, because a lot of the metrics that people look at, if you go to, I was in Billings, Montana, and they have X number of people there. I don't know what their population is, but you have a certain number of police and firefighters per capita. When you're dealing with a city that has 300,000 plus or minus people, and then 300,000 plus or minus visitors on a daily basis, it'll be a whole different metric. So we want to chat with you about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. Home prices up 6.5% across the country. That doesn't mean your house, but maybe yours is a little more. We'll talk about that when we come back, and we'll also talk how much do Americans actually know about credit scoring? All that and more. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details. 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender. Licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com, or simply call 800-306-1990.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Well, welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. Home prices up 6.49% across the country. That is according to the FHFA, Federal Housing Finance Agency. And as I mentioned earlier, you do get different numbers depending upon who you're watching or whose information you're getting. I happen to like the FHFA numbers because they're dealing with the government-sponsored entity home prices, the lending limits. So you're never going to be dealing with million-dollar houses or multi-million-dollar houses. You're going to basically be dealing with houses depending upon the area, but they're dealing with $400,000, $405,000 in the Riverside area, 600 and some thousand here in Orange County, San Diego County, Los Angeles County. So they're not being skewed as much. So when you look at the numbers, they give you a more truthful number as to what we're looking at. So in California, we're actually looking at year-over-year prices, 7.1% appreciation. Nevada, think about that one, up 17%. Arizona up 7.8%. Nearly every place in the country doing very, very well. I don't see any place in the country that is actually down in numbers. Even if you look by region, the Pacific region up 7.68%. It's kind of skewed. Washington's up 11% in their numbers. So when you think about these different media saying, hey, you know something, don't worry, the real estate's going to be dropping, or we heard the report that I shared with you earlier this week, Diane Olick on CNBC telling people, sell your house and rent. Well, maybe you want to look at the numbers and talk numbers instead of her opinion, which, you know, like a clock, she might be right twice in this lifetime. Actually, the clock is right more often than she is, because it's about 7 or 8 years since she's been accurate. So think about some of these numbers, up 7.1% in California. So what if you need to use mortgage insurance to get into a house? I don't care, get in the game somehow, some way, and have a little control over your own destiny. That is the real-time real estate segment, again, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. We are speaking with Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman is with us. Welcome.
Thank you, Ron.
Glad to have you with us. So before the break, I don't want to cover everything we spoke about. If you want to get that, it will be on our Ron Siegel Radio archives and also on the YouTube channel. But before the break, we were talking about metrics and dealing, when we look at some of the numbers and how does a city like Anaheim, you know, you look at Anaheim, you look at New York City, you look at Las Vegas, where they've got large influxes of visitors. And a lot of the different areas you look at and you talk, okay, they say you need X number of firefighters or equipment or resources or police officers per capita. But they don't take into account the fact that Anaheim's per capita, the amount of people living in Anaheim is irrelevant or in some of these other cities when you have double the population coming as visitors. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think you have to look at the metric not only of the population, but you have to look at when the population does influx into the city, what type of call volume does it bring? So what's the workload that's associated with that? And we track that every month. Just to see what our runs are doing at some of our major events. So it does have an impact on our system. But for example, with Disneyland, we have a contract to provide them so many people for 14 hours a day, just solely to them, and then they come back into service to the city. So we do that when we staff up for special events at the Convention Center and at the Honda Center and Angel Stadium. We actually, those are extra people that we'll put in on overtime, and the event pays for that. So
the event pays for that.
Yes.
So it's not actually coming out of the community funds.
Yeah, correct.
So then they have to really be dealing with the different resources of the city well in advance. So when somebody books an event over at the convention center, the people at the convention center really have to get a hold of police and fire and whatever resources to let them know what they anticipate as far as a head count. Is that how that works?
Yeah, and we, a lot of the shows come back every year, so we have a pretty good idea that, for example, NAMM comes and has been coming for many years now. So we know that show used to be about 85,000. It's now at about 125,000. So when they opened up the new convention center or the new hall, so we anticipate those things. We look at how that's going to change what we're going to do, how we're going to deploy our officers and our firefighters, and what kind of command staff that we need to have on site. And then we also work with the people, the associations and the vendors that are coming in, putting on the show. And on the large shows, oftentimes we will sit down with their senior staff, with their security people that they're going to bring in, and we'll do 1 or 2 tabletops before the event ever comes in, so we know how we're going to react on certain situations collectively together.
So it must be fascinating to sit in there. Maybe on the first time you might be fooled, so to speak. And I'm assuming that the resources needed for a NAMM event are a little different than the resources that might be for an AARP event.
Correct.
Right? I mean, it's just a different demographic.
Different demographic, more people. Some of the shows bring in a lot of people, like some of the gaming shows bring in a lot of people, but there's not a lot of equipment that is loaded into the hall.
Okay.
Not a lot of booths and things like that. So that's a whole other aspect of it, is that when you have 1,000 booths loaded in the convention center, then all of our inspection staff have to go make sure that they're all safe.
Sure.
And so we start a week out. When they start loading it in, we've got 3 or 4 staff members that's all inspectors, that's all that they do.
A lot of things going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about.
Yeah, very true.
It's fascinating. So I'm always fascinated when you come and visit us, and I get to hear the input on what's going on with the department on the new equipment. So you've got a little new equipment coming in, a few new toys.
We do, yeah, and thanks to council support, we appreciate that. But we just took delivery of another Type 3, so that gives us 5, and those are the units that we use for our wildland urban interface fires. Those are the ones that can go off-road. We just took delivery of 2 Type 1 engines. Those are the engines that you'll see running around the city. So those are actually being outfitted right now. Should be in service probably in the next 30 to 45 days. And then we also have a water tender.
You have to explain that, because I didn't know what that even meant.
Well, a water tender is basically a 2,500 gallon water tank that's situated on the back of a truck and can go off-road. So when we have these wildland events, they can go fill up some of our units that are out working those, so that they don't have to come back and find a water source. Or if for some reason we would lose the hydrant system in a portion of the city, we could deploy that as well to support suppression efforts in the city.
So, one of the things that drives me crazy when I listen to some of the senior people in the city council and some of the departments is I don't understand what numbers mean, right? So when you say 2,500 gallons, what does a average truck carry to, because I'm clueless.
Average truck will carry anywhere from 300 to 550 gallons on average.
So that tender can refill 5 trucks, so to speak. If that's what they were doing. I mean, again, I don't know what they're out there doing, but from what you're saying, that truck can go out there, fill up 5 trucks full, and then go back and get more water or whatever they're putting in.
Yeah, and another strategy we use with the water tenders is that they actually have porta-tanks. So they will drop a tank, which is it's made out of basically canvas type material. Drop it. It's probably about as big as this room.
Okay.
And they can dump that 2,500 gallons in a couple of minutes because it has a very large port on the back that just opens it up. I think it's 12 by 12 or something like that. And it dumps the tank, and then then the units can come to that tank, suck water out of it, fill up, take off again, and that water tender is just used to shuttle water back and forth to that portable tank.
A lot of things that most of us never even think about.
Yeah.
Right, and I appreciate you sharing that with me, just because, like I say, I don't understand the concept of 2,500 gallons. That's I think most swimming pools are about 30,000 gallons, right? So, or 30,000 gallons, depending upon the size of your pool. So it gives you an idea. Lets us break that down. So it's about 10 swimming pools and about 5 fire trucks. Just to try and get it into numbers a simple guy can understand. So we got new stations. Are stations being rebuilt?
Yes, we just opened up new Station 5, which is at La Palma and Sunkist. That unit, Engine 5, was relocated from the Kramer Station, which was just north of La Palma on Kramer. And so that was a very small, older station, so we were able to build a 9,700 square foot station, 3 bays, state of the art. And so they moved in mid-August. They're still working through some of the bugs in the station, but it's operational, and it's a very nice facility.
Interesting. I want to chat with you when we come back then. How does technology and equipment filter into firefighting? I mean, most of us think, just get 100 guys out there and start fighting, right? So we'll chat about that when we come back, and we'll also talk about one of the favorites. Got to talk. I think I might even have some friends here that we can chat about one of the favorites from the kids. Yeah, well, they're not all here. We just brought a few of them over here. So we'll talk about that when we come back as well. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. How much do Americans really know about their credit scores? We'll talk about that as well. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, Ron Siegel Radio. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, Twitter @Ron Siegel, all that. You got it. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Most businesses struggle to get the online reviews they need to get a competitive edge over their competition. Rex is a brand new technology that uses text messages to direct happy clients to your online review sites, Zillow, Google, Facebook, and Yelp, and unhappy clients to a private survey, so businesses can win more customers. Try Rex today by going to www.meetrex.com. Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRE/NMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? How do I know your credit report is wrong? Well, being that I've been looking at credit reports for many decades, more than I'm going to tell you today, and I have never ever seen a credit report that is completely accurate, I can say with pretty good confidence that yours is probably wrong too. I've seen credit scores, best I've seen is 834, perfect is 850. And that report had errors on it. So I could pretty much guess that yours will follow suit as well. But every year, the Consumer Federation of America and Vantage Score Solutions work together to produce the annual Credit Score Survey. And the survey examines how much Americans actually know about the credit system. With the average credit score reaching a record high of 700 last year, Americans might know a lot more than we think. The survey tested 1,000 adults on topics related to the overall credit process, including checking credit scores, how they're calculated, and how to keep them the highest that you possibly can. Yeah, for the most part, we find that people think they have an idea, but when they throw the metrics at them, one of the ones I hear all the time, I can't go checking my credit because it's going to hurt my score. Well, if you check your own credit, it has no effect on your score. If you have others checking your credit, well, then it might have a 10% effect on your score. Now, your scores range from 300 to 850. That is a 550-point spread, 300 to 850. If the inquiry accounts for at most 10%, well, that's 55 points. If you take 55 points off of an 850 score, you're at 795. And it takes a lot of work to get the full 10% reduction. So I'm going to suggest to you that it's the inquiry is not the problem. If your score is dropping, maybe there's something else we need to be looking at. And give me a call at 800-306-1990. I'll go over that all with you. It costs absolutely nothing. We just want to make sure that you are getting the best information possible. So if you're going to buy a new house, a new car, furniture, anything you're buying on credit, you get the best pricing possible. And a lot of that has to do with just making sure your credit report is accurate. Most of the time, once your credit report is corrected, your score goes up. Because the credit bureaus make money the lower your score is, the more money they make. Just saying, I wonder if they've got an incentive to have you with a poor score. Just a thought there. I wouldn't want to make those insinuations, but I just did. Moving right along, we're chatting this morning. Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman's in the house, and we're going over a whole lot of fun stuff. We did chat about new equipment, new stations, per capita, manpower. We've talked about a lot. We covered a lot of September 11th, covered a lot of ground. So one of the things, we look in business, and I think that in the private sector, we've got these productivity numbers, right? And they basically talk about the idea that if you, the more equipment, like, and when you get to, someplace like in the manufacturing, Ford and General Motors, like, they don't need as much manpower because they've got the proper equipment. Does that carry over into the public sector and police and fire and whatnot?
It does somewhat, but I think the technology helps us, especially in some of our reporting mechanisms that we have to do. I think it streamlines that quite a bit. But, I've always said that firefighters and EMS people, and to a large part, I think police officers as well, you have to have a PhD, but it's a blue-collar job.
Okay.
Because it still takes hands-on labor to do what we do for the most part. And so it's a real balance. I think technology has changed the way that we're doing our business, and it's provided a much more robust and accurate real-time information than we've ever had. But at the end of the day, it still takes the men and women, doing the work.
Well, I think on one of the prior visits we had, you were chatting about a new system that was being implemented where when a call goes into the call centers, they're actually able to track what unit is closest.
Correct. That's called AVL. It's automatic vehicle locator. And that's the way the dispatch systems work today, is they will pull the closest unit that has the appropriate equipment and things on it to deal with in the certifications of the personnel, and that's the unit will be dispatched. So if you just happen to be driving down the street in your fire truck and a call comes in, the dispatch or the CAD system will actually pick up the closest unit, and it's going to dispatch you even if the station's up here. So
that might help with the some of the equipment, right? So if you don't have to have 10 trucks in Anaheim Hills, if you get the right truck, the right place at the right time.
Yeah, unfortunately, we never know where that place is going to be.
That'd be nice if it was, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about one of the more fun subjects we ever get to when we're talking about fire and rescue. Is I think one of the biggest attractions. The equipment, obviously. I hope the kids still are out there enjoying going and seeing the equipment.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right, that's the bottom line, right? I mean, getting the kids out. But I know one of the things the kids love as well is whenever we get a visit, a field trip with the goats.
Yeah, well, they're here.
Are they here?
No, yeah, we just finished up. We had a herd of about 200 goats that have been deployed in Deer Canyon for probably 3 months now, and so they just finished up their work there.
So they deployed 200, and when they came back, there was 300.
Yes, there were. We actually had some birthing going on. We actually took advantage of that and had a baby goat party at Fire Station 10.
Nice.
Which brought in about 1,500 people through the morning, so that was really a fun event. But the goats now are in Oak Canyon Nature Center, and they'll be there probably for the next couple of months. And so we're bringing in the mechanical removal after they get done. So in both Deer Canyon and Oak Canyon, trying to clean those two areas up. So
is the mechanical for the layperson again? The mechanical stuff, is that picking up the goat droppings? Is that what that's doing, or what?
No, they don't deal with that. But they do. Folks come in with chainsaws and we'll start trimming up the trees and things like that, and removing some of the other brush that the goats can't reach. So.
Oh, okay. So that's what it is. So it's basically getting up there higher where the goats are above their level. Now, do the goat, again, I don't know anything, right? So once they go and cut down some of the branches and whatnot that's higher, do the goats come back and clean that up before they're mulched, or how do they?
No, usually we'll just from a cost-effective standpoint and environmental, we'll just go ahead and chip those right on site.
Okay.
And put them back into the cycle. So
it used to be that we would talk about these things, the end of September, beginning of October, or whatever, because we're getting into fire season. But I think if we look at the calendar recently, or if we look at the news, any kind of the news, if we're not hearing about Russia, we're hearing about a fire.
Yeah, fire season's year-round now in California, and it has really kind of progressed that way, especially over the last 10 years. We still, up until about 5 years ago, had a little bit of a break, December, January, February, but we're seeing fires go through and begin throughout the year now. So part of that is the just a lack of water, no rain, but part of it is we're continuing to build in the urban interface and encroach and create more risk. So
let me ask you a quick question, because we don't have a lot of time. I wanted to get this in there because I just saw a article that came across the news that says California has already exceeded their budget for fires. Does that mean we can't fight any more fires, or how does that work?
No, we'll still fight the fires, and I think I read that this morning that we went through. They had about $450 million budgeted in the state budget to combat these fires. They've burned through about $435 million of that, maybe a little bit more. So they only have $12 million left. So they've asked for another $234 million supplemental to carry them through, hopefully through this the remainder of this fiscal year. So
the fiscal year goes to what, June?
Yes. Or, I'm sorry, July 1st.
July 1st. Okay, so yes, July 1st. So we still got a lot of time to go.
We still have a lot of time to go, and every year, I think the past 10 years, the State Forest Service and CAL FIRE have had to go back and ask for additional funding out of reserves because they've never budgeted enough based upon what's actually occurred that year. So,
well, that's a surprise, California not having a decent budget, but that's a whole different conversation. Really appreciate you coming in and sharing with us. Glad to have you with us, and be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John, who's engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember my motto: make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We will talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
In over about a minute, my boss just pushed me over the limit. I'd like to call him